Hello, everybody, and welcome to askLRR, the show where you ask and we lure. I'm Ben, and joining me this month, we've got James.
Hello.
And Ian.
It's your boy.
And we're here to answer any of the questions that you might have posed for us. But before we get into that, a reminder that this stream is, or this show is, I'm so never on like recording content. Yeah. I'm like on all of our live stuff.
Yeah.
Very rarely on our recording stuff. This video is brought to you by you over on our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun, as well as all these questions are brought to us by the YouTube members. Thank you, everybody who is a YouTube member. If you also want to be able to get your questions in here, and we can A your cues. You just need to join the YouTube membership program right down below, and yeah, that's where you dump them all in. That's all the stuff?
I think so.
Yeah?
I mean, you're on the show as often as I am, and I don't watch it. So
I don't know why. I don't know. I'm just like, I guess you and I are on like the same level of employment at this point too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like looking at you like you're my boss.
Yeah. Let us
I'm
both
here also.
Yeah.
And Ian.
Let us both look down on Ian.
Oh, well, if you can't tell, we're actually recording this bright and early in the morning.
I mean, it's 10 a.m.
Bright and early in the morning.
Okay.
And actually, just before we start doing Loading Ready live stuff.
Yeah.
So this is our warm up for the day, and then whatever happens on today's live, something happens. So without further ado, let's stop this rigmarole and get to the questions. Hidden for Effect asks, it turns out Bartleby was part genie this whole time. Man, we are like gliding out the gate. And is now offering each of you 2 wishes. He has none of those Disney genie qualms, but is forcing you to use your wishes on behalf of your co-hosts. What do you each wish for your other co-hosts?
Don't you just wish that don't I just wish that Ben also had a genie that gave him 2 wishes?
Yeah.
And that Ian had a genie that gave him 2 wishes?
Well, in the question it's
just
saying
kind of go,
it's offering each of us 2 wishes. So you're good there.
Yeah, but the idea is that you're getting 2 so that you can wish 1 for each of your co-hosts, right?
I thought in this it's like Bartleby shows up, magical genie, right? And he's like, each of you gets your own 2 wishes. But you have to wish for a wish on behalf of another person.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, I would wish for James that he he went to bed as late as he wanted and woke up as early as he wanted, like he does now, but is never tired.
Oh.
Because you go to bed at like butt o'clock at night and wake up at butt o'clock in the morning.
Wait, what's butt o'clock? I go to bed at like 10.
Oh, do you? Because there have been so many times where it's like you're up real gremlin hours at
sometimes.
like 2 a.m. and then you're like, and then I wake up like at like 9 all groggy, and you've already been streaming for like 2 hours.
10 p.m. is go to bed at dad hours, which is by which I mean when my dad told me to go to bed when I was 8.
So I would wish that James never had to be tired.
Okay.
And for Ian, I wish that of all of the like obscure interests that you have, everybody had a passing knowledge of them, so that you could just drop any reference and we'd be like, hell yeah, Ian.
Wow. All right, so I wish that Ian had a storage locker somewhere in the city that he could go to and open up, and every time he did, the exact Gundam model he wanted would be sitting there on a velvet pillow.
Ooh.
Now, is it a stationary one, or is it like Batman style? Then it's like a truck that's like circling the city.
Hunt it down. Yeah, you have to hunt it down with clues every time.
Can't get rid of that penny that James gave me.
Yeah. What would I wish for Ben?
I'm truly an enigma.
It's true. God, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Ian, what would you wish?
I was just going to make this easy mode on myself, and you both get a house and a pension.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I guess so.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah. So we all just agree that we wish each other for, I don't know, like a bank account with $1 million, a nice...
$1 million is not a lot anymore.
No, hold on.
Okay, yeah.
A 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and yeah, pension.
Okay, so we've got the house already.
Yeah, you
and
get
then
the house.
$1 million is
you
left
get the $1
over.
million bucks to like furnish the house.
Now, is the house still on its mortgage?
no,
absolutely
no,
not. Fully
free
paid.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got to pay taxes, but that's
Yeah,
what
you
the
got-
$1 million in the pension.
Yeah,
is for.
property taxes,
Okay.
insurance, but yeah, the house is yours.
Can you tell how bogged down I've
Oh,
gotten
no.
by the Victorian housing market? That I'm
all
like, now wait,
Whoa.
just $1 million and a home?
That seems like set up for failure, my friend.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'll change the tired thing and the obscure reference thing to each of my homies
hold
gets
on.
houses.
But if we all do that, then we each have 2 houses, $2 million, and 2
Oh,
pensions?
God, and that's how we got into the situation in the first
Oh,
place.
God.
Oh, yeah, now we Airbnb it. And wait, this actually sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea.
hold on. I understand why all these rich assholes do this.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
So, and then Bartleby hears our wishes and then goes, "You guys are dinks,"
Yeah.
and just like poofs out of there.
Yeah.
Also, what does Disney Channel qualms mean?
Like, you can't wish for more wishes.
Can't wish for the
okay.
dead to come back to life.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But it said he had none of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
That means that Bartleby has never been played by Robin Williams.
All right.
someday. Wait. Well, for
just
my
went
first
over
wish. All right. Question number 2 is, how do you balance things like being good and friendly collaborators and being the head of a certain part of the organization that needs certain needs met to make the sausage? Do you guys have an SOP to fall back on? Any practical advice of when to be goofy and when to be serious and how to help the tone transition as a group? What does SOP mean?
Standard operating procedure.
Gotcha. All right. And that comes from TK. So this is an interesting one because I feel like we've talked about it a bunch where we're all friends, and we work together, and that actually has just so many highs to it that for me personally, when something aggravates me or like pisses me off, it's like it just kind of slides off my back. Honestly, like it's no different than like, your friend goofs on you and you are like, I didn't like that. But also we've been friends for like 10 years, whatever. Or for the most part, and something actually I feel like that we've been getting much better about, is we just like, hey, that sucked. And you go, whoops, my bad. Yeah, sorry, dude. Like it's so easy to just call somebody on something and there's like no bad feelings about it. So that's been pretty great.
I think a big thing when it comes to making the sausage, as it were, is knowing when something like knowing when a decision that needs to be made can be made as a group and when it can be made as not a group. I think that we tried to do our best in the early days of being sort of this big group of creative people who, made decisions together. But at some point when offices and salaries and healthcare plans and et cetera, become on the line, you start to be like, oh, sometimes maybe the 2 people need to make this decision, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is something that we've gotten a lot better at.
Yeah.
Realizing that, yes, we are a bunch of goofs that make internet content, and we have a lot of fun, and we crush watermelons between our thighs in the middle of the stream. But also, payroll and rent and stuff. So you got to, separate the 2 as best you can.
I think on a day-to-day level, one of the things I like most, though, working with this organization is that we have that freedom to be able to goof around and try riffs and just play with stuff. But then we all have that in the back of our heads. We know we need to make this thing real. We need to get footage onto tape. And we know, like, at a certain point, okay, yeah, now it's time to shift gears and actually get this thing filmed.
Yeah. I mean, something that's been hugely helpful for me, since coming on like full time here, was me being around and being able to help get several episodes of things in the can before we even like roll them out and stuff like that. Whether it be like crab shots or like upcoming shows that have not been put out yet, but I think some have been announced. Just like finding cool days to get together and just like bang out like 5 episodes of a thing, so that it's not like we're not like struggling to make our weekly upload or anything like that. Overall, like I would actually say within the past couple of years, even during the Pandini. Maybe the Pandini even helped a little bit in that way. We've actually streamlined a lot of our operating practices.
I think the Pandini, something that we were talking about prior to the Pandini was trying to bring ourselves back to 80%, not constantly operating at 100%. And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of started operating at about 50%, right? And not really by choice. And I think coming back from it, being back in the office, bringing back shows, creating new shows, we have gotten better at saying, okay, let's maybe not say we're going to do it. Like Crack-A-Pack is a perfect example. Crack-A-Pack is something that Graham was doing twice a week for, 50 weeks because we made 100 episodes. And we were like, how about we take a break? How about we just say, let's take a break, and when we come back, maybe 1 episode a week, because maybe this isn't, sustainable at 2 episodes every week forever. It's the same thing with Crap Shots that we said when it came back just a few weeks ago. Is the plan going forward is we've got a bunch filmed, we're going to film some more, and then maybe we'll take a little bit of a break. Not like we're talking like a month, right? Just to recharge, build up our backlog again, and then get going. And I think a lot of that's going to help as well. So,
yeah, I think we've become more comfortable with starting a show, and then the implication isn't inherent that this show goes forever until we like completely gas out on it and stuff. Like it's just kind of bringing it back ending on a high note or taking a break on a high note, and then coming back maybe with a different plan for it or what have you. So I mean, like I think the long game was a really good example of that, of how it was like it at first started off as like this board game thing, but then became like longer play games and stuff like that, and then that kind of I think even shrouded out into Play It Forward and stuff. And at any point, any of those shows I think could take a break if we just had nothing to do for them and stuff, right? Like, it
really comes down to us all being not always on the same page, but at least in the same chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just over the past couple of years, we've just become more and more comfortable with communication and stuff, because there was definitely a period of time where we were a bunch of nerds too awkward to call each other out if something was like bugging us or something like that. And I think it's just really helped us grow as friends.
Agreed.
And stuff. It was just like, I frequently reminisce on the fact that you and I have known each other for like 10, maybe 12 years or something at this point, as a fresh-faced improv baby boy, and now,
like clockwork.
Yeah. I think that was good. The Anti-Muffin asks, you're being cast as a video game boss. What zone are you the boss of? Like a snow level, lava level, underwater level, etc. What's your coolest move, and how are you defeated?
So I would be the boss at the bottom of a very big hole.
Yeah.
I would have a very, very, very good pickaxe, and my move would involve a pickaxe.
Okay.
Can we think of a cool move with a pickaxe?
Basically, anything you do with a pickaxe looks cool to a human being.
I think most people, like, when they like think axe, they're like, all right. But then when they see guy with pickaxe, they're like, yeah! Like, that's way more exciting.
Honestly, I think your pickaxe works like a boomerang.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, I like that a lot.
And then how am I defeated? Probably by like a really cool shovel.
I was gonna say they kick you off the edge and you fall.
But I'm in the bottom of the hole. Like
that's fair.
We're fighting at the bottom of the hole, right? So my idea is that a shovel can bury me.
Dynamite.
Ooh,
you gotta blow you out of the hole.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah.
Like the hole is where he gets his power.
Yeah.
You knock him out and he's like, no, I'm just a man now. What would you do, Ian?
I think I've been trying to weigh between a race level and a workshop, and I think I'm gonna go with a Mega Man style workshop level. You gotta walk around, avoid soldering irons that come poking at you, little buzz saws that come through, random fires, because of course. And you get to the end boss there, and it's just me, and I'm whipping out various projects and throwing them at you as my various cool moves.
Okay, do you have? Is it like tools and stuff that you're throwing, or even just like blueprints and
old
stuff?
Projects, like you'll get a Dreamcast whipped at you for no reason.
Yeah,
maybe some sausage.
Yeah.
How do you defeat me? I mean, it's just gonna be standard. I'm the first level.
Oh, you're the first level boss.
You gotta beat me, and then once you've beat me, then you gain the ability to absorb other powers.
Okay.
Through learning.
Yeah. I think you two, from the sounds of it, would be in the same video game.
Oh,
it's possible, yeah.
Like you're like the Planinator and the old guy.
Oh, good. Whole guy.
Yeah, whole guy. I honestly don't know. So if I want to be in this same video game universe that we've created. So I think if it was me, I would probably be I'm trying to think of like in the Lurosphere what my sort of shtick is. I mean, there was somebody we were doing impressions of each other, or of people in Lure on the Let's Note recently, and we were just talking about how like everybody has kind of like a thing and whatnot. I was like, I don't really know what my thing was because it was like plaid, but I kind of tried to not be that guy anymore. And somebody in Twitch chat was just like, your punchlines are the F word a lot of the time. And I was just like, profanity, man.
Yeah.
No, I think being super distracted about everything, I think I would be like some sort of boss where I like laser target in on something, and then the team that has to defeat me or whatever has to figure out some way to distract me, which is quite simple. But then you have only a set. Maybe it's like like a red light, green light sort of scenario. So I'm like watching over everything, and then you can you distract me, and I look away for a moment, and then you can kind of move towards me, and then I turn back, and then you have to
so
stop.
you're a weeping angel.
Yes, pretty much, yeah. and then I'd say defeating me. Really, it's just like I guess maybe. I would. God, I don't know what the feeding portion is really difficult. Maybe just like you just give me like the newest Pokemon game, and I just sort of go into a hole and play that for a couple of days.
Distracted permanently.
Yeah. I'd say my coolest move. I think it's just the attack that happens when I catch you moving, which is I just am very loud and I just completely rupture your eardrums.
Just a stream of profanities coming out of the mouth directly at the player.
Yeah. So I guess if we're doing in this universe where you're like whole guy and you got plan, I'm the foreman.
Nice.
Barking orders from like the top.
I like it.
Bruce Clark says Warhammer 40k has been mentioned on AFK as a possibility. Is it coming anytime? Also, would you be interested in Adeptus Titanicus? No. I don't think we'll do it.
No,
Seems like kind of a game for nerds.
Yeah.
Too much work.
Yeah, and like all the painting
expensive.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But real talk, yes, it's literally in fact, by the time you watch this episode, it might only be a couple of days until the first AFK where this is happening. For the past month, we've been assembling our minis and stuff like that. It's going to be myself, Ian, Jacob, Corey, and Cameron.
Yes.
And we're just gonna be jamming Kill Team. So not, I guess, 40k in the sense of the traditional way.
Not full hog, but you'll get the 40k amuse-bouche.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited, and I mean, I've talked about it a little bit behind doors, but I'm kind of curious to see how it does, because the potential of doing very freeform pre-record content of Kill Team, I think, is just ripe for the learning.
Yeah.
As far as Adeptus Titanicus, I don't know what that is.
I don't think that anyone is running anything like that in Kill Team, because it doesn't really fit. Those are the giant robots.
We're talking literally the faction
for the humans, yeah.
You're right. Okay, yeah.
I mean, I might be interested in that if I go to full 40k, but we'll have to see how Kill Team goes first.
Yeah. I mean, Jacob's already poking me for more models. Yep. He said he wouldn't.
Does he know that you're not Games Workshop?
I'm like a discount Games Workshop that just supplies orcs at this point. I've got so many orcs that I basically acquired during the Pandini from people that either didn't want them anymore or had them. So I had about 4,000 to 5,000 points worth of orcs in my place.
That home for wayward orcs.
Yeah, that I spent not a ton of money on. I'd say maybe it was like $250, maybe $300, but for that many models, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah. And so it's just like Jacob actually for Kill Team needed like 10 boys for it, and I just gave them to him for like $25. Nice. Yeah, which is like probably less than half of what a box of boys costs in Canada. So So we're really looking forward to it. Literally all of July is going to be 40k. So
big rolls.
40,000, as I've heard we need to start calling it. How much self-depreciation is healthy for comedy's sake? how do you use it without making people worried about your self-esteem? Which comes from Joe Mitchell.
I find that self-deprecation is best used when you have confidence about a shortcoming, when you know that it's I don't I have my brain thing where I can't remember celebrities' names, and I think just it's not something I can really increase. Like I can make better, but I can acknowledge it and I can say, hey, this is a thing that I do. It's sometimes funny, but
Yeah.
it just exists.
Yeah.
God, I think I even started this question, and I'm having trouble. God,
I can go if you
go
want.
for it.
Yeah. So early on in my sort of streamy man, internet dude career, it was a staple for me. I was doing self-depreciating comedy. Adam and I would just bounce back and forth on just doing that to ourselves and stuff. But even before, I would do it on Let's Nope with Alex. I would do it on like my home stream, and it would just be like very simple things, like some like I'd see a trash can in a video game, and I'd be like, "Oh, hey, it's me," and stuff like that. Like stuff like that, right? Where it's funny, but then it started to get to a point where I actually had several of like my friends be like, "Can you stop?" Like it's like I really like who you are as a person, and it's like those situations are difficult because it depends on how much you're actually internalizing it. And for me, I was like, I actually don't really care for myself all that much, and so those jokes came from like a very sort of real place as opposed to kind of what you were saying, Ian, about like how it's something that is not might not be like a strong quality for me, but like I'm confident enough that it's not like I'm not like super internalizing it, and that wasn't the case in those sort of scenarios. So it got to the point where for me personally, like Adam on the Let's Nope, we do not do any of it anymore.
But you don't do self-deprecation,
Yes.
but do you still dunk on each other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we dunk on each other. We dunk on chat. I think the big thing about Adam and I in a room together is the fact that we're both like prairie boys from like interior Canada, and it's a lot of like hockey boy like chirping at each other, which is interesting because maybe I guess how is that different than us dunking on ourselves? And I think it's because when I dunk on somebody in Twitch chat, or I dunk on somebody or like Adam or something like that. With Adam, I know that he knows that I don't really believe that about him, and that I do that because I know that that's something that he thinks about, and it's almost like me sort of reassuring him that it's not a problem at all, right? And with Twitch chat, I only do it to somebody who I've interacted with a ton, either in chat or in real life and stuff like that. And again, same sort of thing. It's like I think the absolute world of you, and so when I dunk on you for if I dunk on I dunk on James in Twitch chat a ton, right? And it's literally I'll be like James, you only tune into us when it's on your time, and we're here for 9 o'clock all the time. And it's like, I'm not here for 9 o'clock all the time. But like, that's me being like, hey, I'm really stoked that you're here in Twitch chat. So it's a difficult tightrope.
It's interesting because like the self-deprecation and especially dunking on other people, roasting people and stuff like that is the kind of comedy that I grew up with and I really enjoy. And I think that's obviously formed a lot of the way that I make jokes and have fun with my friends and the people who are watching. But the difference that I think I'm more aware of nowadays than I was when we first started is this content that we're creating is much different than the kind of content that I learned it from. We have a much more personal connection with you, the viewer, and a much more, back and forth. You can talk to me on Twitter, you can talk to me in Twitch chat, you can talk to me in YouTube comments, and that didn't really exist in the forms of media that I learned this from, and that's been a very interesting thing to learn about. It's also something that, I have also tried to bring it back a little bit because there is a point where it feels like, and I'm not singling anybody out here, but it becomes a little bit awkward when the audience starts doing it to us. Which can get a little weird sometimes, especially when there are people, especially inside this crew, who don't use that kind of humor as much as others.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of knowing, who you're playing to, right? So
Thinking about it more during this discussion, I think what it really comes down to for me is confidence, and the fact that when when we're in our position that we are, where we are making a show, if you try to make an entire persona about self-deprecation, if you let that get too far, that becomes, it shows a lack of confidence. It becomes like, oh, this is the guy who doesn't think he should be here, and then suddenly that becomes an idea of like, well, why is he here if every time he's saying, oh, I'm no good, I don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
It erodes that confidence as a presenter.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting, one thing that I've learned, I think, over the course of this, and this sort of ties in a little bit to a number of things about me, was when I got into this, I never viewed myself as like a role model or anything like that, or somebody that somebody looked up to, because it's like, we're just some goofy Canadians doing some stuff on the internet and whatnot. And then I got approached, this was a number of years ago, to be on the front page for June for Pride Month and stuff, to represent LGBTQIA plus folks. And a friend of mine messaged me, and she was just like, hey, I don't think you've ever like explained that sort of side of you and whatnot, and it's something that's, if you're going to be doing this, I think you need to talk about. And so I ended up doing like this very, very big, I guess, like coming out post with the help of my buddy Andrew, talking about like my sexual identity and all that kind of jazz as a oh my gosh, sorry, as a panromantic asexual, and that basically came out of the fact of me being like, I might not look at myself as a role model or stuff like that, but regardless of what we do, people do look at us like that, and because of that, there's definitely a part of us that has to be sort of on our best sort of selves, and that really hit me as like, I hate it when people dunk on themselves in a very real sort of way. So if I'm doing it, what am I saying, about that sort of humor? And so because of that, I just kind of cut it out, because I feel like I can't do it tremendously well without me being like, oh yeah, I'm actually internalizing this a little bit. So yeah, to wrap it back around to real o'clock, I just don't honestly anymore. And instead I just goof with friends and stuff like that, goof on them, in a very loving sort of way.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Answered.
Oh,
good. Another really fun.
Man, welcome to the real hours. We brought in the three most real people of Loading Ready Run. When in your life have you felt the least sure of yourself, and what did you do to push through? Asks Joe Mitchell. This is a tough one.
I mean, I've always felt great.
Yeah, you've never had a low moment.
No, not once.
When in your life have you felt the least sure of yourself, and what did you do to push through? I am personally going through a moment of I am figuring out mental health stuff. So semi-recently, in this month, in fact, I went and got my ADHD assessment finally after a lot of waiting and stuff. I have actually, Mr. Jacob Burgess is literally like holding my hand and dragging me through the process to do this. He's awesome. And one of the things that we talked about when I was doing it is the fact that after every single Friday Night Paper Fight that's Commander or even like AFKs and stuff like that, I used to go home, and I still do sometimes, thinking that everybody hates me. Which is like just sort of like that self sort of overanalyzation a little bit, and I'm like, oh God, did I perform okay? Because that like ties into the fact of like working with your friends and not just like coworkers and stuff like that. If I was working at EB Games or something and I was a little, crotchety that day, I'd be like, eh.
You can leave behind.
Yeah, but so something that I've done to sort of push through is by pushing through, meaning doing self-evaluation and how am I going to fix this is my sort of way of looking at it. Like, what are the steps that I'm doing to stop this bad feeling from happening? Right. And in this case, it's actually taking like action and doing like the mental health sort of channels and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing process. When I first moved here from Victoria or from Edmonton, there was a very real time where it was like, I was friends with the people and whatnot, but there was no like close sort of ties.
Right.
So there's a very real time where I was just sort of kind of alone, living for like the first year. And for me, it was just it's always self-improvement stuff. So I became super comfortable with being on my own, and just doing things that I wanted to do. And then, yeah, it turns out life is just like constantly, you're just doing things to, I live life just constantly trying to do things to make myself feel like, make myself better. Diving straight into those sorts of things.
Ian?
I think for me, I've been trying to piece it out, and I'd have to go with just coming back from Japan back in 2008, and it should have been a more sure of myself time. I was coming back because I was thinking, well, how far can I take my career in Japan as a teacher? Not very far, and I'm not doing very well learning Japanese, so I got to go back and start, applying myself to something that's going to go somewhere. Haha, turns out. But coming back to Canada and moving back into my childhood home a month before my parents sell it out from under me.
Oh man!
And having to go find a place to live and find a job with no transferable skills. I had to lean back on old InDesign knowledge and get into communications that way. And I just didn't know what I was going to be doing with my life, and it turned towards the internet and thought, well, maybe I can do some more podcasting here. Maybe I can get into radio, and who knows? And it was having friends around who were able to help out and just keep myself centered, I think, on what I was doing. And the improv helped a lot there. And so, yeah, it was finding that group of people to move together in a common direction in, I think.
Yeah, it turns out improv is actually just really good, like, for life stuff, too. Yeah. James?
I mean, so, like, I can't pinpoint a moment in my life when I felt the least unsure of myself. I can tell you countless times where I've questioned what I've done, like every day. But what did I do to push through it? I had ridiculous support. I've always been extremely lucky in the people that I have been able to surround myself with, whether that be my family or my friends or my friends and my coworkers now. I don't think that if we weren't this sort of weird collective of like 1,000 people, it feels like sometimes, I would still be doing this, right? Like, I don't understand how content creators out there operate alone. Like, it just seems like, no, I'd give up after like a week. The only way I think this works so well for us is because we constantly are able to lean on each other. I don't feel well tonight. I just don't come in. But our content doesn't suffer because of that, which is great. So a lot of it has just been very lucky and surrounding myself with amazing people.
Yeah, you guys did like an impromptu commander thing last night too, right? Because Wheeler was feeling under the weather.
Yeah.
It seemed really
Turns
cool.
out you can just make up magic things and have fun.
What was the format?
So we took 12 packs of Commander Legends. We Rochester drafted, which is laying out all the cards in the pack, 3 times, giving each of us first pick once. And then we normal drafted the remaining 3 packs. Ooh. Then we each made 60 card decks with the commander, and then we 1v1'd each other.
That is so wacky.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's fun.
Richard Garfield just was probably watching, just sort of nodding his head
this is the magic I am.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Joe Mitchell also asks, thinking back to the long ago time when streaming services didn't exist, what TV channel do you think you watched the most in your life? Do you ever still put on the TV just to watch a show or two?
I grew up without cable.
So okay.
The channel I watched the most was ITV Channel 13 in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. And then in the year 2000, I decided to try and eliminate physical and broadcast media from my life and stop. That was when I finally got cable. So I haven't watched any particular channel any more than any others, I think, at this point. I've been streaming since the good old days.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know which TV channel I watch. I would say, I still have cable. but I have it mostly for sports. Like I would say in terms of broadcast television, I have watched more sports than anything else that exists, really. As a kid, probably watched a lot of YTV, probably watched a lot of CBC with the parents growing up. During the Buffy Angel years, that was probably a lot of WB? What channel was that on? I don't remember anyways. But it's mostly sports, and that is why I still have TV. I don't think Ashley or I watch almost any broadcast TV like scripted show anymore. Everything we watch is streaming, but we watch a lot of sports, so TV remains.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, for me, I was kind of in, I guess, more of like the grand last hurrah almost of the TV era a little bit. I guess like before like streaming really, really down became a thing. So yeah, YTV and Teletoon were the two Canadian channels that I was very much into as a kid, to the point now where I watched a lot of TV. Because it was like having two separated parents was just like, they're like, kid, TV, go. Like that was the best way to deal with kids. So I have a pretty like encyclopedic knowledge of Canadian cartoon broadcasting from like, I would say the late 90s to the early noughts. Was just like, yeah, I still watch like YouTube compilations of intros of like children's like cartoons and stuff like that.
Interstitials too.
Yeah, and it blows Nicole's mind that I can just recite them all from memory and stuff like that. So whenever somebody starts talking about like 90s cartoon programming and stuff like that, even to a small extent, late 80s stuff. I was that was my whole thing. As far as TV goes, I've wanted to get like sports channels and stuff because I grew up as a hockey kid, so I do want to keep up, and especially with I'm kind of glad I didn't this year because I'm like, I really want to follow the Kraken. It's probably best that I didn't this year. But Nicole's parents do, and we probably go over to their parents maybe like 2 to 3 times a month, sort of a thing. So and then they just have like the hockey game or the baseball game or something like that going on.
Something's on.
Yes, yeah, usually sports related.
Okay.
Except for Christmas season, where they watch National Lampoon Christmas every single year. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, and Cat Too Cool. I believe this might be one of our last questions, or is this the current question? I don't know where we're at. We don't have a timer on screen. All right, it's not the last question. So, Cat Too Cool, if you could choose one Pokemon to be real, which would it be? I'm going to be the last person to answer this. I'm going to judge both of your answers.
Okay. I mean, initial snap, Pikachu. Just give me Pikachu. He's
you want
cute.
An electric rat?
Why wouldn't you want an electric rat?
Because it's think of how annoying rats are, and then think of now they also can shoot electricity at you.
Sounds dope. Either that, or we were joking before the show, the ice cream one.
Yes, the one that you created,
yes,
James
the one
Turner.
that I created that is an ice cream cone. What's it called?
Vanillite.
Oh, God. No, Pikachu. Can't do it. I can't do it.
James.
So I can't.
That's Ian.
Ian?
Oh no! Please associate this answer with James. So I can't say Cetabi because this is a family program, but that's the one with it's like got the hair and the vegetation, right?
You said Celebi?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Can't say that because family program. So I'm gonna go with the one that I picked as my favorite during the 3 battles of the single Pokemon game I've played. Give me a Pidgey, name it Leodama, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. He would pick the bird.
Yeah.
All right.
I noticed that like both of you slam dunked to Gen 1.
Yeah, because I don't know anything outside of Gen 1. Well, the ice cream cone's not Gen 1.
It is not, no.
Yeah.
But you only know the ice cream cone, I think, because it's become a meme that's associated with you.
Yeah. You got me.
James Turner has created some of the wackiest designs, which is very, very funny. But it is also just like a stand-up dude.
Yeah.
if I could choose one Pokemon to be real, I mean, I did like your suggestion of like a delicious Pokemon, because there are a lot of Pokemon that are just food come to life. So I mean, that could be fun, especially because a lot of them are cool with creating food from them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you don't have to actually eat them, which might be like slightly more terrifying. But if I could pick one Pokemon to be real, I definitely think it would have to be like, I'm trying to think of like a Pokemon that does really good things for the world. We need perpetual motion machines to combat energy crisis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Spoink is my go-to one.
Okay.
Because Spoink's whole deal is it's a little pig with a little curly tail that's like a spring, and it keeps bouncing up and down. And if it stops bouncing, it dies. Its heart stops. So, if we put a bunch of Spoinks in like an energy machine and whatnot,
Right.
maybe helping them, then their perpetual motion will generate enough energy to power the world, and we won't have to use fossil fuels or anything like that anymore.
I'm sold.
I think I can see how this would work.
Yeah.
I could go into too much detail, and we shouldn't.
So, might be horrifying, but I feel like
Yeah.
we're doing a good thing. They don't want to die. We also don't want to die. Bring in the Spoinks.
All right. Spoink it is.
Bruce Clark says, why no new dice friends?
It's
a lot of work.
We're working on it.
Yes, yeah. There is stuff, but just, I think kind of going back to the thing that we talked about regarding not burning out on things and just we want things to be really good.
Yeah.
So instead of putting out something half-baked or just trying to, push something through for the sake of pushing something through and scheduling, we'd rather put out a good thing.
Well, the other thing is that one of the best phrases we have here is nobody at Loading Ready Run doesn't do what they don't want to do. That came out really weird.
But people work on the things they want to work on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to force anyone to go in and say, you have to do a DM a Dice Friends for the next 5 weeks on Ravnica.
Yeah.
No, if someone's doing a Ravnican DM, it's because they want to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what the case is, but I could definitely see Dice Friends going to less of a always scheduled thing and more of just like someone's got a really cool idea and they want to do this, so let's do a fully produced sort of. It's instead of it being this happens every Monday. This is a special.
Yeah.
We have a special event coming.
We don't want to give you a bucket full of slop. We want to give you a chalice filled with the greatest wine we have.
Yeah. I think that's sort of something that's interesting about streaming is it's got not just like LRR, but just like in general. You want to try and keep this like consistent stream of something always going all the time, which burns me out, because one of the reasons that I ended up initially sort of getting into this field, one of the big things was because of Desert Bus, where it was like this big production, and when I was like kind of first coming into it was like, I'm gonna bring all these like goofs and prepare like for the whole year for this big thing, and I love putting on shows, and that might be my theater background. And so streaming is such a different sort of world of that. You can still do that if you've got the time, I guess. I don't know how some people do it, but instead of it just being this like thing that's always coming out, that's like, okay, what if it's this special? That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the fastest way to tell if a new commander or new?
Well, you check the creature type.
Yeah.
If it says troll, you know.
Yeah, you can't run Soul Ring as your commander. What's the fastest way to tell if a new commenter is a troll? I'm not a troll, from Patrick State.
I believe you.
Yes.
So the first thing that I would say is if somebody says I'm not a troll in their first message, they might be a troll.
If a question you
Patrick.
ask, if
that is your real name.
answered later on in the video, you might be a troll.
Oh my god, can we just like, as a general thing, please stop like live commenting your opinions on the video. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weirdo like this, but when someone's like, hey, you did this thing wrong at this time, and it's like something that we actually address later on, it's like, it's like, well, I clearly know when you commented on this because you didn't like watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm happy kind of with engagement of any kind. If somebody had like the time to post something really dumb below, it actually just makes me feel better that I'm like, man, I don't even know when I would do something this dumb. Like
Somebody noticed.
yeah, it's like when people get into like super big arguments on Twitter and whatnot. When I see something dumb on Twitter, I stop looking at Twitter.
Yeah.
I just sort of go on. Unless, like, even when someone's like doing something so dumb, like I just want to call them out on it. I'm just like,
Do not engage.
it's just not worth it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a pretty fortunate space, though, I think, with LRR, where we just have just the oddest community in the sense that the smallest ratio of supporters to like people who hate watch us or something like that, which is like such a common thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare.
You're good beans.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate your faces and the rest of you.
The bean part of you.
The being part of you. All right, you folks have been doing Loading Ready Live for over 6 years now.
boy.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing that you have done on the show? From Harold Price.
So, I actually don't think I've been involved in either. Has there been 2 Seafoot?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think I've actually been around for either of those, which is kind of funny. From a viewer, I think those are 2 of our best episodes.
Absolutely.
But they also are not really Loading Ready Live. When I think of Loading Ready Live, they're kind of this fun thing that we do every once in a while on live because that's a good platform to do it.
Yeah,
When
like
it
how we were saying, like the special.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to an actual Loading Ready Live bit, I think that my favorite one was the milk run. Chugging milk at the Oak Bay High track and just running.
It was
Just thinking
so
about that
hot
the other
that
day.
day.
It was
too.
I didn't have to do it. I was just on camera. It was great.
Yeah, you were losing
Oh
it.
my god, it was so good. I love that one. That one was very good.
That was a really good one. Ian?
I've got so many things rattling around in my head here. You've got the Yoncoma episode, which I know is not a favorite of the fans, but it's still high
I still
concept.
go watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
from time to time.
I think the jokes we made there were fantastic. Loading Ready Live is one of those places where I kind of get to go loose sometimes and just come up with something and people just get to say yes. So I've got to say it was the Christmas special where Chungus Mungus arrived for us to
Oh, yeah.
pull fortunes out of the cat's
That was-
butthole.
Oh, the butthole cat.
That was
yeah.
That was 2019, right?
Good
that was
lord.
just before
Yep.
the pandemic. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Right, because, like, didn't we find something related to that semi-recently setting up for a live?
I think we found one of the fortunes in
Right,
the,
yeah, just like
No.
in the prop room.
in the
God.
info. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was definitely first thinking about the Seafoot stuff too, because like what's interesting is Loading Ready Live sort of became a thing just sort of before I came in, and then like I've been here for about 6 years now, which is kind of wild, and. The first sort of moment where I felt like really, really a part of the crew, it was Cool Technology with Bacon.
Oh, yeah,
Bacon
yeah, yeah.
Register
Yep.
and stuff. Was like me being like, cool. I feel like I left my first sort of mark on, LRR sort of history.
Yeah.
But favorite thing, I mean, overall, I'm very much the same way. Whenever we do, I really like doing super high concept episodes. I think those are definitely some of the more fun things we've done. Maybe even just like going as recent to our first one, sort of coming back into Studio C from like after the Pandini and stuff was just like, various people were not as comfortable coming on in. So there was like some of us doing remote things, and it was like me like lifting you up when we were doing like the
Oh,
two-man
yeah.
like,
Yes.
full improv thing was
Yeah.
just like, and the amount of people that like then photoshopped it into me like suplexing you and stuff. Yeah, I mean, live is just such a cool thing that we do, and I mean, I think recently too, Graham was talking about filling out it was like a Twitch survey that was like, what do we do and whatnot. And he was like, I think I filled out almost every box, and it's funny because this show alone does that.
Yeah.
Almost.
I'm
Like,
surprised there's still nothing else like it out there.
No.
And-
Okay. What's your favorite reoccurring segment? Reoccurring bit.
that's really tough.
For me, it's the showcase.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Kathleen always does a great job with the showcase, and they always get a good laugh. I love that one.
I gotta go to the Love Doctors.
Yeah.
Oh man, we have a lot that we kind of go back to every once in a while. I mean, this or that's are always great. Graham's got like this deep well of them. I do appreciate in general how it's like, all right, we need an improv segment. Ben, Ian, and Beach, what do you got? It's just like, and then a lot of the times we'll just like kind of craft something from our like games that we know and try and turn them into something new and funky.
Improv on live has been always an interesting thing because you're always acting against nothing.
Yeah. Or even just like as a basic answer, I love that we've got to the point where like we need just this really funny, goofy, cold open sketch, or not even sketch, like a monologue. And Cameron just just bangs something out so good every time. Most of the time it's Cameron. Sometimes, like Kathleen and Beach or something will help out, but most of the time it's Cameron just really putting just a literary masterpiece. Like he's such a funny guy, and he does a great job with it.
Nice. I think that was the last question.
Was that the last one? All right. Well, hey, we nailed this. We did such a good job. Bright and early in the morning.
And now we get to roll into a live meeting.
Yeah. I think in like 15 minutes. So we're going to have to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. A reminder that this is brought to all of you over at our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. You're the reason we're able to do all these cool things. And thank you to all the YouTube memberships for putting in their questions and stuff. If you want to join and ask some real goofy questions or some real questions, that's the best. That's the way to do it. Joining our YouTube memberships. For all of us here in the studio here, I've been Ben.
Bye, I'm James.
I remain forever your boy.
We've of course got Paul working tech and Heather putting this all together. Thank you so much, and we'll see you around. Bye. Bye-bye.